right, so 3-2 is surface area of prisms and cylinders. Okay, so we're just going to go over finding the surface area of these shapes. Okay, so first of all, we all understand what surface area is. Okay, so it's like the area on the surface of something. Okay, so like if I, like a box, right? I could undo the cardboard box and lay it flat. Okay, we understand what that is, right? Does everybody know what lateral area is? Okay, so the lateral area of a prism is the sum of the area of the lateral faces. Okay, so the best way for me to describe that is for you to see a picture. Okay, so here is a picture of a, what shape is this?
Square prism.
A square prism. You mean a cube? No, this is a triangular prism. Okay, so a triangular prism, the lateral area is basically all of the surface if you disclude the triangles. Okay, so this area right here, let me use a blue. This area right here, that kind of creates a, what shape is this? Oh yeah, a rectangle. Okay, so the lateral area will always form a rectangle. Okay, so what you're going to do to the lateral area, we all know that the area of a rectangle is base times the height, right? Okay, so we know that the height is the height. How are we going to find this complete base length?
A plus C plus B.
A plus B plus C. Okay, so basically what we just did is we went around the triangle. You see this? A plus B plus C. What did I just find of the triangle?
Sides.
All the sides together. What's a fancy word for all of the sides added together? The perimeter. Okay, so the lateral area is the perimeter around whatever shape you're doing. So if it's a triangular prism, it's the perimeter around the triangle times its height.
Please excuse the interruption. With the following freshmen, please report to the office to get their hearing tested. Tristan Sly, Cynthia Smith, Madeline Smith, Rachel Smith, Sheridan Smith, Zachary Smith, Zachary Snell, Jocelyn Sprague, Samuel Stewart, James Stocker, Hannah Stokey, Porter Strait. Thank you.
Okay, so here is basically formulas for finding surface area. So it's up to you whether or not you want to write this down or not, but I probably would. Pieces of this are lateral area, so they use L for lateral area. I'm going to use LA because lateral area. I feel like I should write 2 letters for it. The P, what is the P? The perimeter. Okay, so lateral area is just the perimeter times the height. Okay, and make sure you understand the perimeter is the length around whatever shape we are talking about. A triangle, a rectangle, a circle. Okay, so to find the surface area, basically all you're going to do is you're going to take the lateral area and then add it to the 2 bases. Okay, so you know that on a prism you have a top and a bottom, so 2 of those bases. So the base depends on the shape. Okay, so on this particular triangular prism, what's the area of the base going to be? What's the area of a triangle? 1/2 base times height. Okay, so it depends on what shape we're doing. We have to figure out what the area of the base is. And then since there's 2 bases, we multiply it by 2. Okay. Sound like fun? Okay. This is going to go through and explain doing this. Okay, let's just do this really quickly. I'm not going to go through and find all the calculations, but first of all, what is the shape to the right there? Rectangular prism, very good. Okay, so what is the shape of the base? Okay, it's technically a rectangle, although it does look quite, yeah, it's an 8 by 6. So you see the two bases? Okay, so the first thing they do in this to find the lateral area is they find the perimeter. So to find the perimeter, do you see what their equation was? See that?
Yeah.
Okay, so they did 2 times 8 because there's two sides that are the length of 8, plus 2 times 6, which two sides are the length of 6. And if you add that together, you get a perimeter of 28. So then once you have the perimeter, you multiply by the height. So 28 times 12 is 336. So that's your lateral area. Okay, so once you have the lateral area, we're going to go to the surface area. So you're going to plug lateral area in here. And then we're going to multiply 2 times the base. So again, the shape of the base was what? A rectangle. So what's the area of a rectangle? Base times height. So what two values am I going to throw into my base and height? 8 times 6, which is that little piece right there. And if you add that all together, you get a total area of 432 centimeters squared. Okay, so does that kind of make sense without actually doing it? Kind of what they did to go through it. Okay, they also do an example with a, what is that shape? Triangular prism. Okay, notice on this question, I'm not going to go through all of this, but notice they have our triangle, right? They have a base of 10, a height of 24. What's missing? That hypotenuse, okay? So this is something that they're totally going to throw at you. You're going to have to find that third side of the triangle. So what's the formula you use to find the third side of a right triangle? Okay, so Pythagoras theorem. Okay, so that's them going through and finding that third side. Everybody okay with doing Pythagoras theorem? I hope. Okay, so you get 26. Okay, so okay, so for step 2, once they have that third side, you can find the perimeter. So the perimeter is 10 plus 26 plus 24, which is 60. And if you do 60 times the height of 20, that gives you your lateral area. Okay, once you have your lateral area, you're going to simply add 2 times the base. And since the base is a triangle, what's the area of a triangle?
1/2 base times.
1/2 base times height. And what's very specific, if I have base and height, remember that the base and the height has to go off the right angle. Okay, so we have to use a base of 10 and a height of 24 for that. You guys see that? You have to. You can't use the 26 because that's a hypotenuse. It's not a base or a height.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay. All right, so let's do a couple of these, huh? All right, so here we go. Question number 4. First of all, what's the shape? Prism. Yeah, it's 3D. Prism is 3D. Okay, we got a rectangular prism. Okay, so really on a rectangular prism, we could choose whichever bases we want it to be. So we could be like the top and the bottom are going to be the base. Or the front and the back are going to be the base. Or the two sides are going to be the base. So first decision we need to make, where's the base?
8.5.
8, what? What do you, 8.5?
He's looking at. Oh, I was like, what?
Oh. So should we say the base is going to be the bottom and the top?
Wow.
The bottom and the top. Okay, so do you see my bottom?
Yeah.
I'm going to color it out. Okay, so there's my base. Okay, so it doesn't like me to scribble. There, that looks good. Okay, so the first thing I have to do is find the perimeter around that rectangle. Okay, so for lateral area, I'm going to find the perimeter. So I'm going to add 2 18s together, right? 2 times 18 plus 2 5s together. So I get 36 plus 10 is 46. Okay, and then what am I going to do? with that perimeter.
Times it by 5.
Multiply by the height. Okay, so you guys see the height? Which length is the height? 5. This, the height, right? That height. So we're going to multiply that by 5. So it's 46 times 5. I don't know that on the top of my head. 220? I think 220 even, right? Okay, so then once I find surface area, or to find surface area, I'm going to take my lateral area, which I got is 220.
It's 230.
230? Oh, shoot. I'm glad you checked that. Thank you. 230. And I'm going to add the two of the bases. Okay, so you see my little blue rectangle? What's the area of that? 18 times 5, base times height. So what's 18 times 5 times 2?
180.
So you get 180 here. So if we add those two together, 130 plus 180 is 410. Okay. And how should I leave my measurements? My units?
Inches squared.
Inches squared. So remember, area is always squared. Make sure that you leave your answer in correct measurements. Not bad, right? Okay, let's do number 5. Okay, for starters, what's my shape? Triangular prism. Okay, so for this one, my base is definitely going to be the triangles. Okay, so here's my base, right? Let's see the base. Okay, so to find my lateral area, I need to start to find the perimeter of that triangle. Okay, so I have a height of 3.6. This 6 length is the hypotenuse of my triangle. So what am I missing? This base, right? So let's call this B for base. How do I find, well, that looks like a 6. Hold on, let's choose a different letter. Let's call it X. Okay, how am I going to find X? Okay, good. So I'm going to use Pythagoras theorem. X squared plus 3.6 squared equals 6 squared. So anybody know what 3.6 squared is?
12.96.
0.96. And 6 squared is 36. That would have been good math. What's 36 minus 12.96?
23.4.
Point 04. And let's see you do this one in your head. Square root of that.
First is the square root. No way, that's 4.8.
4.8? Okay. So the perimeter for my lateral area is going to be 3.6 plus 4.8 plus 6. And then we're going to multiply by the height. So what's the height length? What? The height length of the prism. 8.5. So that's my height length times 8.5. So let's see. 3.6 plus 4.8 is 8.4 plus 6. So 8 and 4 is what? 14.4? What's 14.4 times 8.5?
198.
198 even?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I totally believed you.
It's not even close. 122.4.
122.4. All right, so then for surface area, we're going to take the lateral area, which we got 122.4, and add the area of two bases. So 2, okay, so since we have a triangle, what's the area of a triangle? 1/2 base times height. So 1/2, what's the base and what's the height? 3.6 and 4.8. So whatever 3.6 times 4.8 is.
139.68.
Did you?
You add it up.
I feel like that's too big.
Well, he already added it.
Oh, that was your total?
Yeah.
Oh, what's just the triangles?
17.28.
17.28. Okay. And then if you add, what did you say? 100 and
39.68.
so, and then we were in inches, right? So inches squared. Good.
Please excuse the interruption. Would the following students please report, or the following freshmen please report to us to have their hearing tested? Kayla Strickland, Michaela Supley, Molly Serber,
That's what
Anthony
we got.
Tatarka, Joseph Tatarka, Canon Tebow, Garrett Tesmer, Cole Thomas, Parker Thomas, Jackson Thorne, Sarah Thrasher. Thank you.
That was rude. Okay, so the next part of this is just finding the area of a cylinder. Okay, so really finding the area of a cylinder is not any different than finding the area of a pyramid, or a prism, excuse me. The only difference is now we know the base is what shape? A circle. Okay, so what's the area of a circle? Pi r squared. Okay, so the area of the circle, those two bases are going to be pi r squared. For our lateral area, that's just going to be the perimeter around a circle, which is another way of saying what word? Circumference. Okay, so you're finding the circumference around the circle. What's the formula for circumference? 2 pi r. If you need to write that down in your notes. Circumference is 2 pi r, area is pi r squared. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So it's whatever, yeah, so it depends on if they give you a radius or a diameter. So, yep. Yep. Yes. Yep. Okay, so, good point Keelan just made. Depending on what they just give to you, okay, if they give you a radius, okay, make sure on circumference you can just plug that in 2 pi r, but if they give you a diameter, what's the diameter of the circumference? Or what is the circumference in terms of diameter?
Just pi times d.
Pi times diameter, right? Okay, because the diameter is 2 times the radius. Okay, so they will give you one or the other, so you just have to kind of go from there. So let's do question number 7. Okay, so again, finding the surface area. So let's start by finding the lateral area. Okay, so for our lateral area, we find the perimeter around the circle, which is, what's that formula for the perimeter around the circle? 2 pi, and in our case, r is 6. And we're going to multiply that by the height of the cylinder, which is 15. So somebody throw that in the calculator. Let's round to the nearest tenth. So that's 1 decimal place. And everybody knows where to find the pi button on the calculators?
Yeah, second exponent button.
Yeah, second exponent. So make sure you use the pi button and do not use 3.14 because that's a rounded value. You want to be exact.
Whoops.
565.5. Anybody confirm that?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, so then surface area is going to be our lateral area plus 2 of the bases. So since our base is a circle, what's the area of a circle? 2 pi r, so 2, no. Pi r squared, pi, and then my r is 6 for this. You almost had me there.
36
Times 2. What did you get? 36 times pi times 2.
What's 36 times 5.
I don't know. Yeah, that's my question. What'd you get? 226.2. So if you add that together, 1.7.
I actually put that.
So that look good? Centimeters squared. Okay. Do I need to do the other example with diameter? You guys feel like that you could that's pretty easy. Just when you get to the radius, cut it in half. Okay. Okay. The second part of this is kind of a deeper dunk into surface area. Okay, so this is finding the surface area of a composite figure. Okay, so the shape that they have is basically, imagine this box. Okay, and what they did, or imagine like a block of wood. Maybe that's a better description. So a block of wood, and in the middle they carved out a cylinder. Okay, so the inside is the shape of a cylinder, so it has that surface area, but imagine that you could like reach your arm into it, and so therefore the top and the bottom piece of the cylinder are not there, so you'd have to subtract out those two bases.
You find the surface area attractive.
Yep, exactly. So what they do on this, okay, so they start by step one is finding the surface area of the rectangular prism, so finding the box. Okay, so they go through, they find that it's 2,368 feet square. Okay, and then they just find the area of the cylinder, okay, like what we just did in that last question, and they find that it is 16 feet squared. Okay, or 16 pi, thank you, pi feet squared. Okay, so then all they do and they say, oh, well, they took out those two end pieces, those two bases, so we're going to subtract the two bases. So since they were circular bases, 2 pi r, or pi r squared, pi r squared, pi r squared. Okay, and then we're going to take out pi r squared, so since our radius of this little circle was 4, you guys see that up there in the little figure? Was 4. 4 times 2 is 16, so they subtract that piece out. Okay. That one makes sense without doing it, just kind of understanding how they did it.
So wait, what if you just found like the surface area of the rectangle, then just the lateral area of the cylinder? Could you do that?
Okay, good question. Okay, so did everybody hear what she just said? Okay, what if instead of doing this, you just found the whole surface area of the prism, the rectangular prism, the box, and then only found the lateral area of the cylinder? That would work too, right? That totally works because the inside of that is just the lateral area. You don't even need to worry about the two endpoints. Really, you're doing more work than what you need to do. Okay, absolutely. So you can do it one of two ways. You can find the whole surface area of the cylinder and subtract out those bases, which is more work, or just not even worry about the bases because it's not included anyways. Okay, so we'll do a question like that so you can see what we're meaning by that. Okay, so what about this one? What is the surface area of this? Okay, so you're going to add them together. So you get the box. Then you get the cylinder. But then what do you have to subtract out?
The base of
one base? Okay, so imagine this. This one is probably the hardest one to visualize. Here's a box, right? Here's a cylinder. If I set these on top of these up here, how many bases do I have to get rid of?
Well, 2 actually. One of the cylinder, the part where the cylinder is.
Oh, it's touching, right? Okay, because I'm losing that base that's touching the box. Okay, so I still am subtracting out 2 bases. Okay, so that's exactly what they do in this problem. Okay, so they find the surface area of the rectangular prism, they find the surface area of the whole cylinder, and then they still subtract out 2 of the bases. So even though it's an entirely different shape that we're talking about, the surface area is exactly the same as that last picture.
What's up, Dante?
That makes sense? Okay, so let's do one, make sure you got it.
Hey, Dante, does that make sense, bud?
Dante, how you doing over there? Doing some deep understanding? Anybody got a ball I could throw at him?
I just threw a pencil at it.
All right, well, we're gonna move past it. Okay, so let's do question 10. Maybe we'll do 11. We'll see how we do. Maybe just doing 10 is good enough. All right, so how are we going to do this question? First of all, the two shapes we have are two different rectangular prisms, right? Okay, so we got the bottom one. I'm going to call the bottom box A. And I'm going to call the top box B. Okay, so we're going to start by finding the surface area of box A. Okay, so the first decision that we need to make with finding the surface area of A is which side is going to be the base?
Bottom.
The bottom. I like the bottom. I feel like that's a good place to start. So you guys see the bottom, here's my base piece. The bottom is the base. Okay, so we're finding the perimeter of that base. So what's the perimeter? So we're going to go 2 9s plus 2 7s. So 18 plus 14 is 32. And we're going to take 32 and multiply by the height of the prism. What's the height? 5. So if we multiply that by 5, who's got a calculator? 15, 160?
Yeah, because it's just saying 30 times 5.
Okay, so then to find the surface area, we're going to do 160 plus the two bases, and the base is going to be 9 times 7.
Please excuse the interruption. With the following freshmen, please report to the office to have their hearing tested. Jaden Tinseth, Skylar Tipton Fleming, Isaiah Todd, Cheyenne Tuman, Luke Turner, Gabriel Turnquist Lynn, Giovanni Vasquez Alvarez, Brady Vincent, Mason Waldeer, Brenna Welton. Thank you.
So anybody else get 286? So we're all right with doing that?
Yeah.
Check, good. Okay, so now we'll find the surface area of B. Okay, so again, let's just use the top of it because it's going to look easier to see in that picture. Okay, so that's going to be my base. So for the lateral area, we're going to have 2 5s plus 2 3s. Notice this length is 3, right? 2 3s. So we got 10 plus 6, which is 16. And we're going to multiply that by the height of the box. So what's the height? 3. So that's that length here. So 16 times 3 is 48. So then surface area is going to be the lateral area plus 2 of the bases. So can I say 2 of the bases is 5 times 3, so 15? Is everybody okay with that? 5 times 3? That wasn't a calculator, was it? So 48 plus 15 is 78. Okay. All right, so I've got the total surface area, but now I have to subtract out the touching pieces. Okay, so what am I going to subtract out? 2 bases of the B. Perfect. Everybody see that? We're taking 2 bases of B. So I'm just going to say we got the whole surface of A, so that was 286, plus all of B. And we're subtracting out 2 of bases of B. So 2 times, whoa. Okay, 2 bases of B, so it was 5 times 3, right? 5 times 3, 15. Yeah, I have been. So 286 plus 78 minus 30. So what's that? 286 plus 78 minus 30.
What's 286 plus 40? 26 plus
38?
334.
38. 338?
234. 34.
34. 334. Look at all that mental math. You guys got this. Inches squared. Okay. So we good with that one?
Sing the song, don't you?
Okay. Should we do the cylinder one?
Yeah.
One more real quick. We got this. Okay, let's do the cylinder. All right, so we got an outer cylinder, and we got to subtract an inner. So let's say my outer cylinder, I'm going to call the outer cylinder A, and my inner cylinder is going to be B. Okay, so my outer cylinder, my lateral area is going to be the perimeter around the base. So since I have a circle, what's the perimeter around the circle? What's the formula?
2 pi r.
2 pi r. So what's my r for the big circle or cylinder? 7.
7.
Okay, and we're going to multiply that by the height, which is 6. So give me a decimal on this one. That one I'm not doing in the head. 263.9. Okay, so surface area is going to be 263.9 plus the 2 bases. So the area of the circle is pi r squared. So we're going to have pi, we said 7 was the radius. So what is pi times 49 times 2? 300 and what?
7.9.
307?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you add that to 263.9, we get 571.8. Sound good? Or did I screw that up?
Yeah, okay.
Good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do on B, I'm going to do this a little bit quicker, okay? Because if I subtract out the two ends, I really don't need to talk about the bases of the small one, right? Because I'm going to exclude those anyways. So I'm going to do what Jolene was talking about. I'm only going to find the lateral area of that second cylinder. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, so on B, I'm just finding lateral area.
3 times 5.
Okay, so it would be
5 times 3.
2 pi r times the height, which is 6. So whatever 36 pi is.
$36.
2 times 3 times 6. 6 times 6. 36.
36 times 5. It's 113.1. So much.
Okay, so then I'm just going to add those two together, and that will be it. So 57.1 or 571.8 plus 113.1. So let's see, what's that?
681.
84.9 millimeters squared. Cubed is volume. So we good? It's not too bad.